live with them after another friend of mine let me down the day before we went to move into a new house. I stayed with them for a few months and was made to feel very welcome by them both, with Joe even making me a handmade sign for my bedroom door. But I'm sure Joe doesn't know this next story, to be honest, because Bodge swore me to secrecy. Living with them all ended rather quickly when I arrived home one night to find Bodge, quite drunk, lying on the floor attempting to milk his cat. When I asked him just what the hell he was doing, the only words I could make out from his drunken gibberish was milk and cornflakes. I felt it was time to move out. If Bodge could react to that story, all you hear is a high-pitched screech as he tends to go supersonic when wound up, excited, hungry, bored, basically anything. Another thing he tends to do, again after a few drinks, usually back at someone's house, when no one is watching and the attention is elsewhere, he'll take off all his clothes and go for a little jog. I've lost count of the number of times I've heard the screams of girls only to turn around and realise it's just Bodge naked again. It's this lack of inhibition and lack of understanding of just how bad he looks naked that gives Bodge his misplaced self-confidence. Seriously though, jokes aside, he genuinely is, as Rob said before, one of the nicest, kindest, honest, most affectionate people I've ever met, and I was very honoured when he asked me to be his best man. And then I found out there was 3 of us. And also what poor company I was keeping. The role has lost its sparkle, but I decided to do my best anyway. One thing I do know for sure is how much Bodge does love Joe, because he says it often enough, because as I said before, he doesn't keep his feelings to himself. Well, I think I've said enough, if not too much, so I'll pass it over to Pete.
I'd like to start by congratulating Bodge and Joe on their new marriage. Seeing them together, it's obvious they were meant to be, and also explains why Bodge doesn't come out much. Bodge, you are a very lucky groom. Joe is beautiful, funny, warm, loving, caring, and she deserves a good husband. So thank God you married her before she found one. Philip Andrew Rogers was born on the 4th of July 1979 and shares a birthday with the famous Louis Armstrong and ex-Liverpool football player Jan Mulby. Him and Jan share more than just a birthday, as they both have a very heavy style of football. Bodge is someone I have known since I was in high school and became closer friends during our late teens and clubbing years. He is a true friend and a genuine person.